What's going on, Cowboys Nation, man? Beautiful Sunday. Cowboys beat the Giants 21-6. 21-6. It wasn't your typical 21-point display. Usually when you drop 21 points, 3 touchdowns, something. The math similar adds up to 21 that way, but it wasn't like that. And I'm fine with it because 21 is still more than 6. So just a couple things to break down, man. And as I'm looking at this game, I'm starting to think, the Cowboys can beat the Giants and a lot of these other teams with the Snickle Fritz as far as their offensive play calling and their offensive display. But they don't have to have LeBron to drop 50 for them to win. Zeke doesn't have to drop 100 yards for them to win. Dak doesn't have to throw for 300 for the Cowboys to win. And I think with all these styles of victories you can have, if you don't have to rely on Dak throwing for 300 and 400 and Zeke getting 150 and Omari getting 100, like, we can win with Dak getting 200 yards and Zeke getting 50 yards. And like, if you this put that in perspective when you think about a lot of these games where Dak throws for 400 and 4 touchdowns and we lose. And this is what I don't understand as a fan. Like, we can have one of the best displays offensively and still lose the game, and then we can still sit back and think, as far as just the offense, y'all can complain and say the offense was good, the defense let us down and we lost. But on the other hand, if the offense does just enough to win and then the defense does more to not make us rely strictly on offense, then you're mad at the offense and saying, the offense needs to be better, when in reality we can just coast through these games without even putting that much pressure offensively, because we don't have to score 40 points to win a game. Like, if these Giants, if we can hold the Giants to 6 points, do we really have to score 40? Do you really need to see a 40-point victory or a 30-point victory if we can hold the Giants to 6 points? Like, a lot of this is just based off of feel and emotion. Like, logically, we don't need to score. All we had, if we would have scored 7 points, we would have won the game. So logically, 7 is more than 6, but emotionally, we as Cowboy fans, we want to win by 100 points and 50 points, just because it feels better. We need to destroy these teams because logically and on paper we're so much better than them. And so as fans, do we really need to see the score, whatever we feel like in our minds and in our hearts, that we're so much better than this Giants team? Do we really need to have that represented by the score or how much we beat them by? Because we're still 1-0 when it comes to this victory. You could be 0-1 or you're 1-0. And this is what, when you look at the victory, it seems like most fans would rather us not complain about the offense, because the offense has more names and has more salary as far as the contracts. It weighs a little bit more on the offensive side. So fans will feel better if we see an excellent offense and then we possibly lose the game based off of how bad the defense played. When you can just have a C plus offensive game and a B plus A or A minus defensive game, and then people are still want to say the offense needs to be better. The offense don't need to be. The only thing the offense has to do is be better than another team. It doesn't have to be the best in the league against the Giants. It doesn't have to be the best in the league against the Washington team or the Eagles. Like, our offense, only thing the offense has to do is be better than their offense. And I think this is something that, you know, these coaches are understanding. Like, it's similar to basketball, the NBA. They have a long season, 82 games. Like, if you look at the Lakers, man, they're probably number 6 in the conference. You know what I mean? And it's certain teams like I'm a Bucks fan, so if you look at the Bucks, they can have the best record in the regular season and then lose in the playoffs in the second round. Not last year because they won the championship. Shout out to the Bucks. But the year prior to that, man, they had the best record in the league and still lost in the second round. And that's similar to what we seen with the Cowboys. We seen the Cowboys dominate teams in the past and post a 13-3 record and then lose in the first game in the playoffs. So now I think when you start to put together all these narratives and all these feelings, because we as Cowboy fans, we feel like we need to have the best team offensively because we got CD and Gallup and Cooper. We got the names, but do we really need their A game to beat these teams? We don't. Especially when our defense is up and coming and becoming a prominent defense that's holding these average at best offenses to 6 points. What do you expect your offense, like, I feel like our offense did enough. Yeah, of course, in life there's always going to be something to work on and things to improve, and that goes with teams that are undefeated. You know what I mean? Like, when teams started off in the year, you know, they'd be 8-0 or 9-0, things of that nature. They were still improving, but I think it's a better situation when you're going into the game and you're not playing your best, but you're not losing the game. You know what I mean? And a lot of people will be like, oh, let's get in the playoffs and see what happens. But I think what this team is doing, I think they're not really trying to put their best offense on the field, if it makes sense right now. Because what does it get you? If you can play at a C+ grade and still win and still clinch and still, you know, separate yourself in this division and possibly still win the NFC number 1 seed in the NFC, like, the conference isn't the best. It's as far as like the top teams, they're not playing their best football right now, and they can still win these games. And that's the thing. So you want to put on film. Like, I don't think this team wants to put on film as far as their best, because then teams can gear and scheme to defeat your best. So for me, I think it's just something about the way they did things before. Like, right now, you would see the Cowboys playing a team like the Giants right now, and they would smash them 35-3 and something like to the effect that you saw earlier in the season. When you looked at these teams and how we were beating them earlier in the season, I think people want that to happen every game. But do you know how difficult it is to do that every game, and then for teams to scheme and shut down that offense because they don't like? So when you first looked at the offense was changing like week to week because different players were getting hurt, and then schemes were changing. We were running different schemes as far as we have 2 tight end sets, and then we have 12 personnel. Like, it was changing. It was changing it was like every week, man, because somebody would get hurt, like Jarwin would get hurt, and then we'd come out with 3 wide. Then we have a 3 wide out set, and then we will use Schultz and Jarwin in other games because Gallup was out for most of the season. So this is what I was saying. So it became very random, and teams weren't able to. They didn't know how to, basically, we were going to attack them, so they couldn't predict and basically scheme and practice to stop our defense or our offense because they didn't know how we were going to attack them. So now when you got everybody back, you would think, okay, let's see what this offense can do. But do you really want to see what this offense can do in week 15 of the regular season? Is that really going to make us feel better? Or would you rather see us playing our best football in the playoffs? Because all we have to do is get there. That's all we have. It's a whole nother season. So y'all mean to tell me y'all think that we just magically forgot how to play good offense? Yeah, it makes sense that you would, you would want your team to not do that, but it's just, for me, I think that's the way they are moving it, because we can all say, they shouldn't do that, and we all can have our opinion based off of not showing or not putting out the best offense. But I think, like I was saying, if you continuously put out your best offense and you show all your plays and you show your hand week in and week out, these teams are going to see that. And then when it matters, when you want your best football to be played, everybody knows what to expect because you've been doing it all season. And I've been saying some people disagree with that philosophy, but it really makes sense if you really sit down and think about it. It really makes sense. If you can just be average offensively and still win, why would you want to put out your whole play calling system in a regular season game that you really don't need to win? Because we locked up the clinch, we locked off the playoff spot. So it's and then based off of our division, we're seeing how we're dominating our division, or the NFC East. We're pretty much we can pretty much continue to play how we played this week and against the Washington team and still win our division. And then if you look at across the NFC, a lot of these teams are losing, dog. The Cardinals lost to the Lions. The Vikings beat the Packers, I think last week. The Cardinals was losing. They had one loss a couple weeks ago. Now you see them, and they're pretty much tied with us as far as the record. You know what I mean? So you're looking at what we do as Cowboy fans. We put so much pressure on our team, and that pressure isn't measured the same way across the league, because we just believe the Cowboys are just so much better than all these other teams, and it's based off of on paper. You still have to suit it up, and go out there and handle and do what's basically schemed in practice. That's just my opinion on it, man. I'm not really gonna sit up here and bash our offense. Yeah, we got work to do, but I think having work to do is better than big-headedness and not being humble and feel we can just show up. You know what I mean? I think with this team having this type of mindset and being, they know that they're not playing their best football. I think that's a better mindset than them feeling we putting up 30 points a game. You know what I mean? So it's just like us. We all human. If we go hit 5 threes in a row in a game on a wreck, you playing with your homeboys, you gonna feel good. You hit 5 threes in a row, you gonna feel good about yourself. You gonna feel the next one going in. You know what I mean? But if you shoot 5 threes and you only make 2 of them or make 1 of them, it's gonna alter your mentality to where you feel I'm gonna practice harder and I got more work to put in. I can get better. So I think, they want to get better, but I feel if they were playing their best right now, would they really want to get better because they already feel they're doing their best? You know what I mean? And I can see if this was a situation where we were losing. If we were losing these games, then it probably wouldn't make sense. But I feel if we can put out an average performance offensively and still win games, it makes all the sense in the world to wait into the playoffs and go ahead and drop 30 or do whatever we need to do to win these games, because it's all about how we feel. We want to feel good when the Cowboys win. We don't want ugly wins. And that's how most of the nation for Cowboy fans think. When in reality, logically, all we need is a win, whether it's 1 point or 10 points. Like Fast and Furious, man, whether you win by an inch or a mile, a win is a win. And that's what people have to understand, man. Like, we have to stop putting so much pressure on our wins. Like, we can win and still be like, oh, it was an ugly win. If we win 15-17 in a Super Bowl, who's going to complain? If the score is 3-0, all right, it was the Giants and the Ravens, the one Super Bowl in like 2001, where it was the ugly, it was low scoring, but they still got a ring for that performance. Trent Dilfer and our offense still got a Super Bowl ring. This is what I'm saying. It's just like y'all wanna have. We got to the point now where it's like it's not even about the win. It's about how we win, and it's sick. And it's sick because it's like, of course, we all want to criticize certain players and things like that. I understand all that because they can play better. But I think if they can avoid, or not avoid, but if they can basically put out a performance that's just good enough to win, and then at the same time protect their hand and not let NFL system or coaches get ahead of them and, you know, basically know what the scheme and know what's coming in the playoffs. You know what I mean? I think that's a better mentality to go about it rather than putting everything out in the regular season, and then when it's time for all this stuff to matter and the playoffs come around, they all know what we're doing and everybody's getting locked up. And then it's the mentality like I was saying earlier. I would feel more comfortable with my team, not going in there like cocky, like, oh, we dropped 35 points offensively in the last 8 games. We don't, you know what I mean? We don't need to practice, or we can take a day off. No, I want them to be hungry, and the way they get hungry is not eating to their full. They just eating to just satisfy the appetite. And that's a good example. Like, most of us, you know, some people, they eat just to make sure their stomach don't growl. And then there's some people that eat and when they're full. And then when they get full, you can't move as you want to. You're not as hungry mentally, you know what I mean? Because physically you're full, so you're not going to move the same way. But these Cowboys, man, the way that they're playing right now, they're just feeding their appetite. They're just feeding their appetite, and that's just doing what they need to do just to win the game. And our defense played great, because you can't, like, with this type of defense that Dan Quinn has, it doesn't matter how offenses want to play that. If you want to pass the ball or run the ball, our defense is good enough to handle either attack. And we're actually getting turnovers consistently. Tank with the peanut punch on Saquon, who doesn't fumble, by the way. Who don't fumble, by the way. And then this pressure that we just put into these quarterbacks' heads and their life, man, and the way we attack these offensive tackles and these guards, it's incredible, man. Like, we can rush from any direction. It's like I'm saying, it's like the Warriors, man, with KD. How you want us to sack y'all? You can't. The running, if you want to hold a tight end and make them chip, cool. We'll blitz the other side. We blitz Micah in the A gap. If you want to have the running back stay in and block Micah, cool. We got D-Law. We got Gregory. And like I was saying now, like, I think Dan Quinn has got it to the point where hero ball doesn't exist on this team. These players are going to sit back and do what needs to be done on that play. If that means if that means hold, contain, and don't lose that gap as far as going to try to get a sack, or, you know what I mean? Like, this defense depends on each other. The defensive line depends on the defensive backs, and vice versa. Because it's every play you want to get the pressure, but depending on the quarterback, you want to keep them inside the pocket. And that's when our defense comes, and that's when our D-backs come in and make great plays on the back end. You know what I mean? So this is my reaction, you know, from watching the game. This is a little long video, man. I apologize, but this is just my opinion, man. So go ahead, you can agree or disagree, but this is based off of eating to satisfy your hunger, or are you eating to be full? Thank y'all for tuning in, man. Y'all have a good one.